everything. Cool. I'm Camille. I'm the secure stage and mainly focus on DAST, dynamic security application scan and the filing test. Today, I'm just going to introduce the new on-demand scan we have. So first, what is on-demand scan? I hope I can explain this like really in a quick way. And if you didn't understand it, you can always contact me. We can have a coffee chat or something. So if you remember that currently when we have security scans, it's always like part of the DevOps circles is triggered by MR. So for example, if a user have a code changes and they push it, they create MR and their automated test triggered and scan triggered, and then finally everything goes to production. And those scans are usually part of this development cycle. It runs regularly and it runs in a comparably short time to make sure the new code, everything is secure. And then compared to this continuously scanning, on-demand scan is something outside of this code changes. It's triggered by request and potentially on user schedule. So user can decide when to run it overnight or over a weekend and do a more comprehensive security check. And why user wants to do it. Sometimes that's like the code user had on the code base is complicated. The website is very, they want to scan is very deep with different URLs and stuff. And the user want to know more about their set specific security status. And to do that, to have like a scan that might really be configured into detail to their needs and to find the security or issues, things they want to find, it might really run a long time. So if it's in the cycle, it might stop their development cycle, make it slow. So we want to provide ability for them to run the security scans whenever they want and suit their need to do a more comprehensive security scans, which make their website applications more secure. And who are their target user? Who are our target users? Is more like a security specialist, those people who have deep knowledge about what they want to scan and how to configure it. So we did problem validation research around DAST, not really on the on-demand scan, but it's really on-demand scan. Those type of things came out very often that user tell us they need to run the scans with really specific goals, what type of vulnerability they're looking for, and they change the settings, and the setting need to be reused. And of course, the easy of use is something they're looking for. So to summarize the user job for this on-demand scan is when there are no code changes and MRs, I still want to scan my applications throughout my organization so I can validate the security part of my site whenever needed. So the design flow for this like very, I would say is quite complicated new feature that I start with the product manager to mapping up a vision that all the feature we needed and we wanted. And as a GitLab, we do iterative small steps that we need to create an MVC. And the easiest way or the quick way is like, we don't want something that will develop in a year. So we kind of talk with the engineers. So for maybe 1 or 2 milestones, what are durable? And it go down to a features like create, run, view, report, the very basic steps. And it's only limited to passive scan, no profile at the beginning. And from the US perspective, I always ask my question like, when it's narrowed down to MVC, is the job still valid? Are we still helping people to run a security scans outside of their cycles and can be like no time limit and change their settings? And does this still align with the future direction we're going. We don't want to create gaps between MVC and future things. So the general question is yes, but there are some additional small things I need to consider because this MVC design. So two things. The first is classification of the passive mode, that user now cannot choose passive scan, authentic scan, or active. They can only use passive. We need to be very transparent about this. And now this scan is outside of the cycle, but we still use the technology of pipeline. How we can explain to user that this is pipeline, but without the MR. So this is the MVC design that user click on demand scan and they see entity status, they create a new DAST scan, and the thing they can configure is very limited, and they can put a URL and we tell them that it's a passive scan. They cannot change anything. And after they create a scan, and we use the similar label with pipeline, and if they go to pipeline, we tell them clearly that there's no commit attached to it, and this is a DAST scan. And after this, how we move forward, we already have the MVC, and we have the vision there, and we want to have a next focus, and we decide to focus on setting. Because if we don't enable user to have like a comprehensive settings, how they can have like a more detailed result to see that their website is secure or not. So we start with settings. And for the settings, remember from the research, we understand that user need to have the setting easy to use and that can be reusable. So there are two usability features that we need to focus on is user can change the setting, and also naturally for me from the user flow, when they create a new scan, they can create a new profile and they can change the settings in the profile. And we bring this feature to the engineers and they got some constraints, and it's the same thing, same cycle. That's like when we want to do it in 1 or 2 milestones, what we can do. And the feedback is reuse of the profile or update the profile during the scan creation is kind of complicated. So with those constraints, I ask myself the same question. So is this still valid job? And what we're helping user there? And then I come with like the additional UX problem that we need to solve. I will explain detail in the later. So this is the original design that I was thinking of with the profile. Just to quick explain the profile. Profile is a group of settings that the user can save and reuse. And scan profile is about scan type, and site profile is where user scan their application. It could be a website, it could be an API, anything that user want to scan with. And when we want to enable this, the most natural flow is when user create a new scan, they can either create a new profile or use the existing one. But because the technical constraint, we need to separate into steps. We need to let user create a profile first outside of this flow and save it, and then create the scan later. So it's come to something that's slightly different. That before it's a start on-demand, create a new on-demand scan, and now we're making it more general, like start using on-demand scan, and we gave users slightly different instruction. Instead of creating a scan, that the user need to follow the step and create their profile first. And they're creating their profile, and there's something they need to do. And to save time, I wouldn't go to the detail if you're interested. like you can comment on the slides or we can have a copy chat. So basically user need to validate their website, and the reason to validate the website is we need to make sure that's their own website. We're not scanning some random website just for them. And there are some other things came out with the validation is the validation might take a long time. So what we can help user now to lose the status, we have a promotion button. We have a save profile button at the bottom, but now we want to promote it a little more to help user to save the status in case this takes a really long time. And user follow all the steps, the set is validated, and fill in everything, and they save the profile and it's created. They need to follow the second step to create a scan profile. And for the scan profile, the similar thing. They follow step by step, and this last step they have, and they can save the profile. And now we tell them to create on-demand scan. So with this kind of step MVC of a post MVC, and they can let user to create a new scan finally with the existing profile they already created. So they can now do live editing, and they can create managed profiles to, if they want to edit again and then create it. So this is not the ideal flow we want to do, but I think it's probably something we can validate it to see if the match the minimum UX barrier that we want to put it out for users. And we will do a solution validation with the user with a research. But before we do the research, I already create an issue that I let the engineer and the PM know that this is ideal flow we finally want to go. So to make the impression and expectation that this is ideal flow. Like where we can do the iterated process, but we shouldn't lose our final goal. And this is kind of summary with the process we're doing. We always like have a bigger region, go to MVC, bigger region, go to MVC. And I think this will be a continuously flow for like a bigger things we're doing in the secure area. Thank you.